You're listening to an AI audio recording generated to make our content easier to consume, whenever and wherever works best for you. Now, let's dive in to discuss TechCXO's blog article, Smooth Scaling with Intentional Organizational Design: How to Restructure Your Team, Compensation, and Culture to Survive the Chaos of Rapid Headcount Growth. Somewhere between your 15th and 100th hire, the people side of your business will start to demand more attention than you ever planned. What used to be manageable with a small, tight-knit team and good instincts suddenly becomes a significant operational challenge. Decisions about how you manage, develop, and support your workforce begin to dictate whether the company can keep expanding or if it will buckle under its own weight. While commonplace and predictable for many founders and CEOs, this shift is chaotic. When execution slows down despite a surge in hiring, the common instinct is to throw more people at the problem. However, adding headcount to a structure that is already buckling will not fix the underlying design issues. What the business truly needs at this stage is a hard look at how the organization is built to work. This is where organizational design moves from a theoretical exercise to a strategic necessity. How structure shapes strategy and behavior. Organizational design is often misunderstood as a simple reshuffling of boxes on an org chart. In practice, it runs much deeper. We often say that structure follows strategy and drives behavior, which ultimately shapes culture. When these three elements, structure, strategy, and behavior, are in sync, a company can scale without losing the core DNA that made it successful. When they are out of sync, confusion sets in, priorities are missed, and frustration builds. Scaling without a thoughtful organizational design results in reactive hiring, roles that aren't designed properly, and informal rules that create inconsistency. Successful scaling, on the other hand, is built on intention. It brings clear accountability, defined decision rights, and a design that is aligned with the specific growth stage of the business. Simply put, companies either design ahead of the chaos or they pay for it later. This is also the moment where many leaders face a difficult personal transition. The skills that built the business to this point, staying close to every function and making fast decisions on the fly, start to work against the organization as it grows. The company needs a structure that delegates decision-making and allows leaders at every level to operate with real authority. As a leader, your role must evolve from working in the business operationally to working on the business strategically. Compensation strategy is a growth signal. As your organizational design evolves, your compensation strategy must keep pace. How you pay people is one of the most tangible signals of what your organization values and where it is headed. In the earliest stages, startups often pay lower base salaries and lean heavily on equity. This works for a while, but as the business matures, your pay mix must shift to attract and retain the talent needed for the next stage of growth. Competitive base salaries provide stability, while short-term incentives reinforce near-term execution. Long-term equity, when structured well, aligns leaders to enterprise value creation and turns them into owners. Getting the balance wrong sends negative signals about what the company values. Reward strategy must remain rooted in business strategy, requiring a partnership between the finance and people functions to build a compensation philosophy that is competitive externally and equitable internally, building a people function that scales. Alongside these structural and compensation shifts, the people function itself must mature. What might have started as a single generalist or an outsourced provider must now become a scalable operating model aligned with the business goals. This involves establishing clear ownership of core processes and leveraging technology to gain insights that inform better workforce decisions. As outlined in our guide, People, Performance, and Scale, finding the right balance between high-tech efficiency and high-touch service is critical. While automation is appealing for speed, responsibilities like coaching managers through tough conversations or understanding team dynamics cannot be replaced by a bot. The goal is to build a trusted partnership between your people function and leadership one anchored in business outcomes rather than HR jargon. Culture as the firm's operating system. Every decision regarding organizational design, every compensation change, and every leadership behavior sends a signal about your culture. Whether your culture shifts intentionally or accidentally during a period of growth depends entirely on leadership. Culture is the firm's operating system. It defines how decisions are made, how accountability is demonstrated, and what behaviors drive performance. Leaders are the primary drivers of culture, not through mission statements on a wall, but through how they show up in decisive moments. Employees are looking for authenticity and context. This trust is the bullseye at the center of a functioning organization, and it can be broken easily in small moments, such as a major decision being announced without explanation. This is especially critical during mergers and acquisitions. When two cultures meet, the risk of friction is highest. The strongest cultures aren't necessarily the most polished, but they are almost always characterized by high internal alignment. By being intentional about what you carry forward and what you leave behind, you ensure that your organizational design supports a culture of performance. Preparing for the transaction. If your company is preparing for a major transaction, such as a private equity investment or an acquisition, your organizational design strategy becomes even more vital. Buyers will closely examine whether your team can execute the business plan after the deal is done. They look for a structure that can grow clear decision-making roles and no single points of failure. By focusing on a robust and intentional organizational design early, you ensure that your human capital is a strategic asset rather than a liability. When your structure, compensation, and culture move together, the company is ready for whatever the next challenge brings. For more insights on building a foundation that supports rapid growth, you can find further details in our full guide, People, Performance, and Scale. Strategic growth is just as much about driving revenue as it is about building an organization designed to sustain that revenue. By making these decisions with intention today, you eliminate the chaos of tomorrow.